Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of AM Minnesota. It is an honor to have with us the honorary chair of the Rice County Relay for Life this year, Chad Balfe. He's going to visit with us about his story, diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in July of 2013. We'll talk to Chad about that in a moment. Tomorrow, we're going to have Franz Bolter and possibly another person or two in studio talking about their big all-school reunion this weekend, 150th edition. On Main Street Wednesday, I'm sure we'll hit on the Blue Collar Ribs and Arts Festival coming up this weekend. Boy, a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Saturday, it's Ride for Hospice, and some folks will be in studio to talk about Ride for Hospice on Thursday's edition of AM Minnesota concerning the Friday Ride. And we don't have a show yet for Friday, but we're pretty busy up until then. Again, today we talk about the relay, tomorrow the 150th reunion. On the Main Street show, a touch on the Blue Collar Ribs and Arts Festival on Wednesday, and then Thursday it's Ride for Hospice, all going on this weekend. Good morning, Chad.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining me this morning.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. Let's get to know Chad Balfe a little bit. You grew up here, Faribault?
You're correct, yep. I grew up here, born and raised here in Faribault, went to high school here, and have worked here, lived here all my life, yeah.
Graduated?
I GED'd here in Faribault,
and
then did some post-secondary schooling, yeah. And I worked for Genova Plastics for about 14 years, and then took a little hiatus, and then I'm working for ABC Bus Companies right now.
As a mechanic there?
Yep, diesel mechanic. I've been there going on 8 years.
So you must have done some training somewhere for that?
Yeah, my training was industrial machining, and that's what I did with Genova for a while. And then after that, I moved over to ABC, and they had coaches that came from Germany with some German language in their printing and stuff like that, and it fell right into what I left at Genova with German-built machines there, and it just kind of fell in. And I got in there and started working, and I'm still there.
You like it there?
I enjoy it. They're a really good employer. I really enjoy there, yeah. Yeah.
Seem like nice people.
They are. It's pretty family orientated. You know, I went through a lot of stuff, and they stood there, so that's a big thing right there. And I kind of felt that chemistry when I started working there, and when that fell into place, and they were right there and supportive, it just reassured everything, and I feel I'm in a good place. Yeah.
I bet that makes a big difference too when you're going through what you went through.
It's a very big, it's a secure thing, you know. It's the last thing you need to worry about at that time is how you're going to survive, you know.
You have kids?
I have 2 children. I have a son, Jeremiah, he's 19, and I have a daughter, Haley, and she's 16.
I bet one of the first thoughts in your head is this hereditary?
Well, I had a mother pass away when I was 19, 20 years old. She was 42, and she passed away from lung cancer. So yeah, it was, and I have a grandparent that had it. So yeah, it's pretty much a genetic thing, I believe.
So I'm sure you're encouraging your kids, make sure you
keep an eye on everything, for sure.
And check yourself.
I think I would encourage anyone to do that, you know. I mean, oftentimes we feel rough and tough, and I don't need to make it into the doctor, and you know what, I just don't believe that's the thing to do these days.
Especially as guys,
we're always macho, you know.
Don't need to go in and see the doctor.
Right, and it's always a reassurance to go in and have that okay bill of health.
Yeah, we'll find out how Chad found out about how he was diagnosed here a couple years ago concerning this Hodgkin's lymphoma. In July of 2013, 23rd annual relay is this Friday. Flag raising begins at 6, and Chad will be leading the survivors lap. That's one of my favorite parts of, I know luminary lighting is pretty special too, but one of my favorite parts is the survivor lap because there's positivity there, you know.
You betcha. I hear that. That's a message I think we need to carry on, yes. We get through this.
And literally thousands of years are on that survivorship, the Keith Memorial.
It's amazing, yeah.
Survivorship tree. AM Minnesota continues in a moment.
1946, and it's still family owned today. Rank Seed grows most of their own seed and processes it themselves. Rank Seed offers seed corn conventional to smart stack, soybeans, alfalfa, grass seed, and inoculants for silage and haylage. Rank RS21 3 and R2 was the #1 soybean variety in southern Minnesota, winning many county soybean grower plots. If dicamba soybeans meet approval, Rank will have them available next spring. For more information, go to the website rank.com or stop in at their booth.
Chad Balfe is with us. He is the honorary chairperson of this year's Relay for Life, the Straight River Stroll. And we certainly appreciate Chad being with us today. I'm going to just pass along a couple of notes before we continue our visit. 79th Annual Pet Parade. Their theme this year, Into the Jungle, is this Thursday. Judging begins at 6:15. The parade begins at 7, always ends at Central Park. And you just have a great time. And of course, the concert will be in the park on Thursday. Again, that's this Thursday. Tomorrow night is Night to Unite, and I did get a phone call from a young lady over in West Concord who wanted us to let you know that tomorrow night in West Concord, the North American Ironman champion will be in attendance. Matt Hansen, he is a West Concord native, set the course record. He's the North American Ironman champion. Will be in West Concord from 6 to 7:30 tomorrow night. It's a swimming pool fundraiser. He will give a presentation on race day nutrition because he has a PhD in nutrition, and it should be a lot of fun for folks to stop by and see Matt Hansen, the North American Ironman champion. And earlier today we had Lee Scholander, the chief of the Kenyon Police Department, tell us about all the Night to Unite events they have going on in Kenyon. They'll be grilling some hot dogs and having a good time over right on the main drag of Kenyon. So you might want to stop over there. And of course, there's lots of parties going on in Faribault. I don't know, Chad, do you know if there's any parties in your neighborhood about Night to Unite?
I haven't heard. I have not heard. Nope, I'm looking forward to the hospice run here at the end of the week. That's something I'm encouraged about. But
Well, you get involved in that too, huh?
yeah, I enjoy that. Last year, myself and my girlfriend, we went for the bike ride, and this year we're going to be taking a vehicle. So they do motorcycles and cars. So,
Right. You have a classic vehicle?
I have a friend who has a classic vehicle, and he mentioned to us that the hospice ride was coming up, and I kind of given up on the bike riding for a little while, and he mentioned that he would be more than honored for us to use his vehicle. So we're going to do that. So here's a thanks out to Dominic, my buddy, for the use of his vehicle for that ride. But yeah.
What kind of vehicle is it?
It's in 60s Dart convertible. So I'm a Mopar guy, so that's up my alley. So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. You'll be as busy as I am this weekend.
I hope so. Yeah.
We'll be heading over to the stroll, like I'm going to be emceeing it again this year, and then we pop over to the ride for hospice. I always enjoy going over
Great.
there
I'll
too.
see you there then. That'll be awesome.
Fantastic. You'll be sick of me by the end of Saturday. No, just kidding.
Or vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Chad Balfe is with us this morning on AM Minnesota, and he is the honorary chairperson. So when you were called about being the honorary chair, what was your first thought? Were you apprehensive at all, or did you right away say, yeah?
I was kind of hesitant at first, but then I remembered when I was diagnosed and how I felt, and I needed that support from people that had gotten through this, survived this. I needed to hear them words, The fear of the unknown overtook me at that time, so it was needed, and I thought that it was time for, I'm here. It's time for me to carry that message to the next man or woman,
When you lost your grandparents, you said,
my grandfather, yeah,
to cancer, and then your mom to cancer.
yeah.
It was probably in the back of your head that someday this might affect you.
Exactly, and then when I was diagnosed, yeah, the big C word was, that was it. It was death. It was the stamp on the envelope, and so I didn't hear much other than that. Took a little while to convince me that I could get out the end of this, and put my faith in the science that they can handle this, and once I got calmed down a little bit and started working at it, then my big goal was to get through, and I did everything I could. I dieted, I exercised, I did all the things my oncologist told me to do, and I felt that's what I could do, right now, today, in this moment. What I can do is hear what they're saying, suit up, show up, and do what they need me to do. And so that's what I strive for every day.
This is a significant lifestyle change for you? I mean, the dieting and the exercise?
Well, yeah, and I wasn't able to work through that because it was a very aggressive treatment, and it didn't work out to work in the environment I was in and the work I was doing, which is the mechanics, very heavy, and yeah, it just didn't fit together. And at first I thought, like the first few treatments, I thought, well, this isn't going to be that terrible. And then about the second to third treatment, it caught up to me, and then I realized why my oncologist was telling me that I would prefer you to do this, and lay off of work while we're treating you, and it got pretty hard.
It's pretty intense, the treatment?
Yeah, it was very aggressive. So, yep, it was it's hard to concentrate. It was hard to keep appetite. It was, and keep your strength, and you just felt as if you were on the verge of the flu all the time, and that was not fun.
Yeah. I've had friends who've gone through other forms of cancer and gone through the chemotherapy and say, lost their taste buds.
Yeah.
They couldn't taste food, no taste.
Yeah, I enjoyed coffee before I was diagnosed, and once my treatment started, I couldn't even be in the room when it was made. I couldn't stand the smell of it. It smelled like really strong fuel to me, and couldn't stand that. And I didn't eat much red meat. I don't know why. I just didn't have the appetite for it. And if I did ever get an appetite for something, if I cooked it, by the time I would get done making it, I didn't want to eat it, which was really strange. But so in the moment when you would get an appetite or an urge for something, you had to go with it and eat it right now, and get it down, and yeah, so that was kind of a weird thing too. And I was a big milk drinker, and I kind of laid off that too. It was weird. Some of the things that I thought were my favorites became not so favorite, and yeah, it's a weird thing. All the cravings come. And
did they give you a diet plan, a nutritional plan?
well, I had a nutritionist, and she discussed dietetic stuff with me, and I followed it to the best of my ability. But like I said, there was lots of things that I would have liked to have been able to eat, but I just couldn't. And so it got to, about halfway into my treatment that it was whatever I could get in, whatever I could eat and keep in me, and just go with that. Won't worry about the rest of the health after we get out the back end of this, and so that's kind of where it went to.
Be able to maintain your weight, or did you need to lose some weight, or how did that work?
Well, I lost a little weight. I've gained a lot since. I was a smoker for years, and I had quit smoking about a month before my diagnosis, and so I went into my treatment, and I gained maybe 4 or 5 pounds, and then boom, I'd lose 5 or 10, and then I gained some more, and back and forth, and I stayed right around 205, and then after I got done with my treatments, I gained. So I've gained probably 40, 45 pounds since the end of my treatment. So I think that's good. I don't need any more, no, but yeah, I did okay.
Get your strength back.
Yeah, that was an ongoing process. It still is today. I've noticed it aged me quick. I had a lot of joint issues and pains and aches, like arthritic type of issues, but it's more so with muscles and things, and I think that's related to the radiation. Some of the joint issues are the chemotherapy, but the radiation was very what do I want to say? It was deceiving, because it didn't seem like after going to chemotherapy, you have this aggressive treatment that really knocks you down, and then you go to radiation, and it's a few minutes, and you feel like nothing happened, and then after a week's time, all of a sudden you start to have pain, and you start to have these side effects, and it was very deceiving. So yeah, towards the end there, I think a lot of my side effects were from the radiation that were just unseen, you know, at the time, and they linger on for a little while. It's been, you know, a year out now, and I'm just now starting to get over some of those side effects. So
You have to go in on a regular basis, I'm sure.
yep, it started every month. Well, for every month for 3 months, and then 6 month scans after that. After them we're clear. So yeah, so
So you got a
into
clean
the
bill
6 months. Yep, just last month was my 6 month. So yeah, so clean bill so far. It's not going anywhere right now, so that's good.
Does this mean you're in remission?
I guess that's what you would call it. Yeah, that's what they described it to me. I had, when I was diagnosed, of course, I had a large mass in my chest, and we didn't do any surgery or nothing, so we shrunk it with chemotherapy, and luckily it was responsive to the treatment. And so my oncologist, who is Dr. Thermos from Minnesota Oncology, he worked with me on that and went after really aggressive, and we got it to shrink. And so we kept going with that until it was about the size of, it initially was 14 centimeters, which was huge, and we shrunk it to about the size of my thumb, and then they burned it with radiation and left it. And so on a scan I still see a little nodule there, you know, but it's not, they shoot you with a dye when they scan you, and it makes it luminate, and I have no lumination. Any cancers in your body would luminate under that, and it does illuminate. So I still have this nodule in my chest, but it's not cancerous, you know, and just kind of sitting there hanging out. So.
Again, Chad Balfe is with us. He is the honorary chairperson for this year's Relay for Life, the Rice County Straight River Stroll on the Rice County Fairgrounds this Friday night. It gets underway at 6 with the opening ceremony, the luminary lighting, which is just awesome. You were there last year. That's
yeah,
pretty awesome, isn't it?
It's a great thing, yeah. It was pretty cool to get there and see that they recognize the survivors and everyone. That was pretty neat.
Yep, Survivor Lap, one of my favorite parts of it, shortly after the flag raising. And then the luminary lighting will be about 8:30. They have some entertainment on the stage. There will be games for the kids, food for sale. Golf carts are available for those who may have mobility issues. Last year, just under $100,000 were raised. Our record, I think, is $132,000.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which was in 2011, if I remember right, and memory is leaving me. I'm getting old, Chad. But those are some of the events going on. I hope to see a lot of folks there. I know there's a lot going on this weekend. We touched on that earlier. Chad and I both will be going to both the stroll and the Ride for Hospice, which is on Saturday. And of course, Bethlehem Academy has their 150th birthday celebration with an all-school reunion. You got the Blue Collar Ribs and Arts Festival. You ever been to that?
That sounds wonderful. I'm a good eater lately, so that sounds like something I might have to get involved with.
Yeah, after you do the ride in the morning, you could head on down there in the afternoon or evening.
Sure.
It's right downtown here.
I'm sure I'll be there.
The ribs are incredible.
I love to support our local, even our merchants and everything. I love to just keep it local. I don't know, I'm supportive of that.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Let's keep it all local. So Chad, educate us, if you would, about Hodgkin's lymphoma. There are different stages, as I understand it.
Yes, there are, just like other forms of cancer. Mine was, I was diagnosed, when I was diagnosed, actually I guess I should take you back to initially when I found out. I was working and I had a scratchy throat, and I went to cough and clear my throat, and I lost my voice. That's how it began, and then I went into the doctor and I was treated for laryngitis, and it didn't seem like it was working. So I contacted my doctor again, and he wanted me to come in for a physical, obviously, and I went in and they did x-ray, and boom, they found the mass right away. And so then I was sent to a lung center, so I went from working to a lung center the following day, and so it was a big change, a big shock, and I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 2B it was called, and I think the 2B is because of how far it had progressed at the time, and I didn't have it in my blood work, but I had the lymph nodes, and I had more than one affected. So I had two affected in my chest, and so that called it a 2B, I guess. And that's kind of where it was from there. And then I went in for biopsies, and they determined it was treatable. And so that was a big thing. And I can remember meeting my oncologist for the first time, and that was his first statements was, "Well, young man, it's bad and good news, and the bad news is cancer, but the good news is we're thinking it's treatable." So we went after it right away, and I can remember listening to him discuss it and give me the diagnosis, and I kind of panicked a little, and then I relaxed, and I told him, "Well, I'll suit up and show up and do what we need to do, and I'll be here Monday." And he said, "I think you should be here Friday." And I'm like, "Okay." So we started that immediate Friday right away with treatment, and it was just that quick. And it changed my life, values and things. You mentioned children, and they became very important to me. Not that they weren't important to me, but the recognition of our time right now, our time and where we spend it and our experience we have that's it, and it became real clear at that moment. The fear of the unknown made things change greatly. Seek out a lot of different things. I don't want to bring religion into this conversation, but seeking out my God and them type of things, were important all of a sudden. And I didn't want to continue and proceed in life without what if. I believe I'm accountable for things, and what if I'm before him? I want to be able to face him. Them type of things. Material things never came to mind to me. And then that's something that I think about continually as I'm coming out the end of this, because you need to begin to go back to real life again, and so I think about those things, and it's about, I need to progress and build a home and do these things, but I also need to not forget the feeling of what was important at that time.
Yeah, the little things aren't so little.
No, they're not. They're the big ones, it seems like, And so I would have to say that was where the biggest change came about, was there. And then, we had mentioned earlier about an employer and having an employer there, and at that time, that was huge to be able to just to go into my employer and have them discuss with me, we understand your position, and you get yourself healthy, and we're right here. And that was such a relief to have that happen. And there's a lot of places out there that aren't that supportive, but I would strongly suggest take if you're in that executive level, take a look at those things. I mean, it can be such a huge difference in a recovery when somebody can concentrate on their health and not worry about those things. And I was able to do that, and I am very appreciative of that with my employer.
And obviously, you get a more productive employee coming back, because, I mean, like you say, you're very appreciative of the fact that they were in your corner, so to speak.
Yeah, it was a big thing. It was huge. And of course, the day and era of, there's a lot of alternative medicines and them type of things out there. And of course, when you're diagnosed with something like this, you're always approached with that. And I was introduced, as soon as I had my diagnosis, I was introduced to Minnesota Oncology, and Dr. Thermos was my first introduction as my oncologist, and Amy Selly and the Cancer Center, their staff up here in Faribault. When I was told I was going to go through my cancer treatments, I was worried about traveling and whatnot, and of course finance and that type of thing. And when Dr. Thermos got with me, and he said, "Well, I believe we can do this right here in Faribault," and I never even realized that Faribault had this cancer center. And I remembered back from my mother and running her to Rochester all the time, And so I was fearful of that, and when I learned of that, it was like, that was a big relief too. And then to go in there, and I really believe that I've had the best care I could possibly get, you know, and it made me feel secure and comfortable. Not that I enjoyed going there, because I didn't. There was many days that my girlfriend had to hold my hand and walk me in there, and her name is Mona Jurdy, and I want to thank her too. She was my caregiver. But they walked me through this, you know, and that I can't say enough about that cancer center. And there's a lot of stuff there that goes on that we don't think about. And when you're making out a check and you're doing a donation to some charity or something, try and keep in mind that cancer center, it's a big part of this community, you know. And if you ever have anyone near you that is affected by cancer, you'll recognize that, I think. So anyways, I dealt with, I think I got the best of care from them people. And then they transferred me off to the Northfield Radiation Center, which was another facility that I never knew was in existence, and it was fairly new, but the radiation center there just up from the hospital in Northfield, and I was turned over to Dr. McCone there, who did my radiology work, and the staff there was just amazing. I mean, I felt very comfortable, and I was scared when I went in there, no doubt, and they comforted me, and I came back. I made it every day. I didn't miss a treatment. So that being said, yeah, got me out the tail end.
Well, that's awesome, Chad. We're happy to hear you're in remission, and we're looking
Yes.
forward to hearing your story on Friday night. Did you write your speech, or are you just going to go off there if you're
We're gonna
hard?
wing it. We're gonna wing it.
You'll do fine.
We'll do great.
You did great here.
All
Hey,
right.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate
Thank
it
you, sir.
very much.
Yep.
And we look forward to seeing you on Friday night, and hope to see a lot of folks there too. Again, 6 o'clock are the opening ceremonies. Then they'll have the Survivors Lap, and Chad will be leading that Survivors Lap. And survivors, if you think about it, and if you haven't received information about it yet, make sure you stop on out to the fairgrounds. The more survivors we have, the more awesome the story is. That's why we're there. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's why we're there. We want more people to survive this, hopefully someday, and I honestly believe we'll find a cure someday.